And here we go. We have liftoff. Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, with planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting downside SC off. Bring in SC off. It's orange!
R45! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Jingle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You good? We don't need any more of these.
Hello and welcome to another NSF live stream. This is going to be a Falcon 9 launch out of Slick 40, launching 23 Starlink satellites into orbit. I see the 5x5s in chat. Thank you all for that. I know we say this a lot, sometimes in jest, sometimes seriously, but today I think we're going to mean it more than ever. This is not an ordinary Starlink mission. This is a big deal today because this will be the first Falcon 9 landing around the Bahamas. In the Bahamas? We're going to have to come up with nomenclature. But I'm Jack Beyer for NSF. If you have any questions on today's stream, type at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and we'll see your question pop up in some software we have. But luckily, it's not just me today. As always, we have our ever-competent cohort of commentators, starting off with Sawyer in the studio. Sawyer, how are you doing, buddy? Also, happy birthday!
Oh, it's my birthday. You guys knew. I didn't mention it. Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm feeling older, but feeling happy to be here, and hopefully we get a fantastic candle.
Indeed. Hopefully we do. I think is this the second time in 2 years that we've been on a stream together on your birthday? I think it might be. I feel like this might have happened already. I'm getting deja vu. Either way.
Could be.
Also joining us out in the field, we have the one and only Mr. Max Evans. Max, how are you doing, bud?
Good evening, everybody. I am doing great. A bit cloudy here in Cape Canaveral, but you know what? Tonight's mission, despite being a Starlink, like we have seen so many times now to this point, this one feels a bit special. So we will see what the evening brings.
This is indeed quite a special launch. We'll talk about exactly why it is a big deal that they're going to be landing in the Bahamas. But before we get to that, I also want to shout out to Miss D. I want to shout out to D Wise, D out in the field. D, how you doing?
I am doing really well. It is a pretty nice evening here, nice cool weather, and it's always a good day when we can look forward to a launch.
Awesome behind the scenes shot of you there. So we have D at the KSC press site, and Max, where were you set up?
I'm set up over at Cars Park over in Merritt Island, which is roughly about 7 miles from Slick 40, but it is a different perspective, lending with today's flight path, which is heading a bit more southeast than usual.
Yeah, so it's D, correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to kind of go away from you, but it's going to go kind of past Max.
Exactly. So it'll be pretty similar to the southeast trajectory Starlinks that land northeast of the Bahamas, but this one is going even more south. So it'll be going away from me and down along the coast, and with that, it will pass by Max's perspective.
Starlink 10-12, even more souther. Cool. So, but this is why we are so appreciative of everybody who watches our streams and supports what we do, because we have both of you out there in different areas, so we get different views, and you can see the trajectory on screen there. I didn't get to it fast enough. I'm sorry, Jay. Also, we have Jay in the background. operating today's stream. Thank you, Jay, for doing that and for tolerating me being annoying. Really quick, though, speaking of thanking people for supporting what we do, including the things such as Max and D out in the field, but also our live streams and everything else we do. Matilda, thanks for becoming a PadRat member. We hope you enjoy all the sweet member program perks, and also Not That Jared with a $25 super. Thank you so much. They say, happy birthday, Sawyer. They sang the song, but I'm not going to sing the song because copyright. I don't want Warner to...
It's public domain now.
Still not singing. Moving on.
No.
All right, so let's just let the cat out of the bag here and immediately start talking about why is this mission special. I'm going to throw that one to you, Sawyer. What exactly is the big deal about landing the Falcon 9 first stage in the Bahamas?
Yes, this is definitely not your ordinary Starlink with the Bahamian water landing. So this all comes down to everyone's favorite friend, orbital mechanics, as well as also not dropping things on other countries.
Is it Bahamian? I thought it was Bahamian? I don't actually know what it is.
99% positive it's Bahamian.
Okay, that's cool. I'm sorry. Continue.
Anyway, so typically for launches, we'll see them usually go northeast for 53-degree inclinations. If they're going south, which is typically what they do during the winter, since the weather is a little bit better, they go for more of the 43-degree inclinations, because that one you just go a little bit north of the Bahamas and all is fine. If you want to try and then also get the 53-degree inclination by going southeast, well, then you have to do a dogleg. A massive dogleg that cuts performance dramatically.
Okay, so, I'm gonna pause you right there. Let's talk about what a dogleg is, because there might be people out there that don't know what a dogleg is. And you know what? I'm gonna just throw that one to Max. Max, would you care to explain what a dogleg is in the context of a launch?
Sure. I think the best example to, explain that with is when Falcon 9 opts to fly in a polar direction, which is directly south from either Slick 40 or LC-39A. And that is a very unique capability that has only been recently demonstrated back in 2020, I believe it was, when Falcon 9 flew polar for the very first time from Florida. And that opens up a whole bunch of unique opportunities for where Falcon 9 can fly and what other payloads it can fly. And so, because obviously Florida juts out more to the east, it isn't a clean cut straight down south from Cape Canaveral. It has to fly around Florida's land curvature as it goes further south to avoid flying over any populated areas, and that is mostly done with Falcon 9's upper stage. Because the booster only has so much performance in it before they have to either recover it at the launch site or via a drone ship somewhere down the south that direction, which is only now possible courtesy of this Bahamian agreement. So essentially what a dogleg is, Falcon 9 has to curve around the coast of Florida, essentially flying almost sideways, which is a very unique capability that Falcon 9 has demonstrated here from the Cape a few times. But we will also see that again very soon. I guess if we could tie in how important it is for Falcon 9 boosters to land around or in the Bahamas, I think the most important mission coming up soon that plays a key part in is the From To mission, which is going to be the first mission to fly astronauts over the South Pole on a polar trajectory. So essentially, Falcon 9 has to fly around the curved coast of Florida.
Right, so dogleg, I mean, ideally you want to launch into the exact inclination that you want, but you'd also don't want to launch over land for safety purposes. So, I mean, Demian in chat says, why is it named dogleg? Because it looks, kind of like a dog's leg.
Think about if you've got a dog that's laying down sleeping. You know how they bend their paws all cute and adorable when it's curled up? That's exactly what this rocket is doing. If you follow the trajectory of a dog leg laying down, it goes straight out and then curves around.
Right, so Sawyer, I interrupted you. So by not doing this dog leg, they don't have to sacrifice that performance, right?
Exactly. So they can finally launch to the 53-degree inclination without having to go northeast, where the waters are a lot more rough in the winter here, and not worry about dropping it on people because now they have the agreement with the Bahamas. Instead of having to do a huge turn all the way around it, you just land in the middle of the island. So this one, the drone ship is kind of near Rock Sound. It's at Exuma Islands there.
Nice. I certainly am excited about seeing what exactly this is going to look like, being able to launch to this inclination out of the Cape. We shall see. Ooh, Gage in our back channel saying drone ship is leaving right now for the next mission from Slick 40. What drone ship is it? Let's take a look. In the meantime, RC Horseman, buddy, what? RC Horseman just joined the SBL operator team, buddy. You don't have to gift the 5. Thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you so much, man. It's been awesome seeing your name in voice chats and then popping around the Discord. Thanks for helping out too. But seriously, thanks for gifting the memberships. The membership program rules. So check it out if you just got a membership. Let's see. Don't forget, if you have any questions, at NASA Spaceflight, and we will see them pop up. There we go. There's a short follow gravitas leaving for, Alex says, Starlink 1214. But that's not today's mission. Today we are all about the Bahamian. Bahamian? Thank you. I'm gonna figure it out eventually. Today is Starlink Group 10-12, the Bahamian Rhapsody. I don't know. I'm trying here.
We just need a recording of the Google pronunciation, and anytime you want to say it, just press play.
That's how I feel. If anybody has seen the most recent Starbase update that came out yesterday, there's a German company that makes pumps. And every time I say that company's name, I just want a recording of Adrian's voice instead of it should just be dubbed with Adrian saying the word every time instead of me, because I'm always going to pronounce it wrong.
Didn't we do that once?
I think we did, but we should do it every time is my point. All right, really quick, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in the field before we get into timeline stuff and look for frost rings and look for fueling on the rocket and see the rocket come alive. I want to talk about what y'all have been doing out in the field. D and Max, both of you, again, have rolled out to separate locations and have set up camera rigs so that we can see what y'all can see. So, D, I'll let you go first. What cameras are you rolling, and what view are you providing us here? I think on this shot that we're looking at now, your view might be the one on the right-hand side, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, so that is my primary camera that I will be tracking with. That's my usual primary lens. It's a 400mm f2.8. I do have a teleconverter on that today, so it's even more zoomed in, and it's on a Micro Four Thirds camera, so it's a 1600mm equivalent. So even from a bit over 4 miles, the launch pad basically fills the entire frame. Then up here, I've got a wider view. That is sitting around 400mm. So that provides that wider view that shows some of the foreground, and that'll be a static shot showing as Falcon 9 lifts off and the smoke clears. And then, of course, there is the wide behind-the-scenes camera behind me that is just providing a little bit of extra perspective as we capture this launch.
Nice. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up. Woo! Heck yeah. Well, again, thank you for all that you do to help us cover the Cape. Max, speaking of helping us cover the Cape, buddy, what are you rolling today?
I'm just rolling with the camera that I track with more often than not. It's the Panasonic BGH1, currently sitting at about 2,000 millimeters equivalent, as you can see on the left side of your screen. Thankfully, the wind is kind, so the feed and the image is nice and stable, and we are hoping it stays that way for liftoff. I'm also going to break out probably my Zcam E2 M4 just for some other footage, and then also my Canon R5 to get whatever else I can get, because unfortunately the clouds are kind of limiting tonight, but you never know.
You never know. It's like I always say, it's like fishing. I mean, even when you think Oh man, there's no way I'm going to catch anything today. You still got to try, because you never know. The next time you cast out the line, you could pull in a whopper. I don't know. I don't fish. Can you tell that I don't fish? Kelly Teacher, thank you so much for the support. They say, any chance of jellyfish? I feel like it's been so long since we've had a good one. Sawyer?
I'm going to go ahead and say probably not, just based on the weather that we're seeing right there.
Yeah, fair.
In terms of timing, typically, I believe it's kind of within that window there of within an hour around sunset time. For those who don't know, by the way, jellyfish is when typically right around sunrise or sunset, the light will hit the plume that the rocket gives off in such a way that the light on it is just spectacular. You see the full expansion, and the top of it looks a lot like the top of a jellyfish. So it's nicknamed the jellyfish. But I don't believe our cameras will be able to see it. But if you are out and about into the southeast and you have clear skies, absolutely worth going out and taking a look. And again, if you do happen to catch it, send it to us on social media. We're on all the social channels at NASA Spaceflight on X, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, all of that.
Indeed. Good shout, Sawyer. I do like seeing everybody's shots from when they're out in the field.
Oh, I love it.
There, you can see the socials on the top right there. Check them out.
Beautiful.
Also, wow, Rockhound's becoming a launch director member. Rockhounds, you now have access to everything. All the things. You get your name at the end of the Flame Trench and NSF Live episodes. You get access to the Discord, which you should absolutely pop in and say, hey, I will greet you with my customary Forrest Gump wave. Also, the Discord frickin' rules. You don't have to be a launch director to get into it. You can be in it at Capcom level and above. You get access to the pre-show and post-show that we do for the Flame Trench every week, which is really fun. It's one of my favorite things. It really is.
Oh, we have fun.
Also, you get access to all of course, the Discord itself, which has a whole bunch of cool channels. There's a food chat, there's a tech chat, there's a channel for all the rockets, all the pads, whatever you want. There's like a makerspace. The Discord rules. So pop in there, Rockhounds, and say, hey, and thanks again for becoming a launch director. All right, Sawyer, we're at like T-minus 42 minutes and change here. What are we looking like here timeline-wise, and what should we be looking out for next?
Sure. So in terms of the timeline, we should be very shortly coming up on the go, no-go poll to begin loading the propellants. That happens at T-minus 38 minutes. If all is go, then 3 minutes later, they will start loading the propellants, beginning with both onto stage 1, that is the RP-1, the rocket propellant 1, which is a refined form of kerosene, and the LOX, the liquid oxygen. Those will both load and load pretty much all the way through until about 2.5 minutes before launch. Meanwhile, the second stage begins with just the RP-1 load. That will continue till about T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds when we get our favorite vent. And then at T-minus 16 minutes, they begin loading the liquid oxygen. That will take us all the way down to about 90 seconds before launch.
Nice. All right, well, hopefully we'll see Frost here in the next 5 or so minutes. Let's do some questions. Luke Ortiz is asking, will they have to do a boost back burn on this mission? Now, it's not an RTLS, so my gut is no, but it is doing something different with its landing. Max, is there going to be a boost back today?
Given the flight path that Falcon 9 is carrying on today, no boost back burn is required. It will just be performing the usual entry burn once it enters, or just before it enters the upper atmosphere, just over the Bahamas, and then of course its nominal landing burn, hopefully, once it gets closer to just read the instructions in the, I guess, in between a few islands in the Bahamas. So, but no boost back tonight.
All right, no boost back. Thank you, Max. Oh God, Steve says, does anyone else think that Jack sounds like Ross from Friends? I don't watch Friends, so I don't know. Do I sound like Ross from Friends?
I think that's a stretch.
What's the thing that Ross...
I think it's a stretch.
What's the thing that Ross says?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen Friends in forever. I'm more of
Chat,
a Seinfeld guy.
Chat, help me out. I'm way more of a Seinfeld guy. Let's see. Robert is asking, how long will it take for the booster to trek back to the Cape after it lands in the Bahamas? Happy birthday, Sawyer. Indeed, happy birthday, Sawyer.
Thank you.
Sawyer, I'll throw that one at you. Do we have any inkling as to whether it'll get back way quicker or about the same time or sort of what the deal is there? Also, chat is yelling at me to say pivot, I think. Pivot! I don't know. do I sound like Ross? I don't know.
Again, it's a bit of a stretch there. Well, considering that this is the first time it's landing on this exact trajectory, we don't know exactly. It's going to be a little longer or a little shorter. However, we can pretty much figure out the fact that it's not going to be that much different from what we're used to. Because normally it lands just north of the Bahamas. In this case, it's landing in the middle of the Bahama Island areas there. So we figured it should be about the same 2 days, but we'll all find out together and you'll see exactly when it rolls in on Space Coast Live.
Smooth as butter. Nice work. nice work. Let's see.
Yeah, as I get older, the transitions will mature even more, just like me. It's like a fine wine. Me and the transitions mature.
It's like an aging process. Yeah, it makes sense. D, this one's for you. One Box Shop is asking, what telescope are you using? Is it a refractor?
So tonight I don't have the telescope out. I have used that on a couple of those previous missions, and I will be using it a lot more. It is not a refractor, it is a reflector telescope.
You're a reflector telescope.
Got him.
Do I take that as a compliment? How am I supposed to take that?
However you will, my friend. But it's been really cool seeing you roll out that big glass. So keep up the good work.
Will do. Thank you.
I don't even know. Is it appropriate to call that glass? Usually, like the mirror in those is metal. I don't know.
Okay, so they have the mirror at the back and a secondary mirror at the front, but it actually does have I'm not a telescope expert, but it does have a corrector lens at the front that is glass.
Nice. We can just call it the big iron. We'll go Wild West with it.
Sure.
Here's one for Max. Electron Moore is asking, do you plan to keep covering Falcon 9 launches? What a question.
I mean, the simple answer is yes. We will cover as much as we can for as long as we can. Even though Starlinks at this point to most people seem like it's like watching airplanes take off out of Orlando or some other bigger airport. But us and the team will keep covering Falcon 9 missions and amongst others as long as we can.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, as routine as spaceflight could possibly get, you're still burning like swimming pools and swimming pools and swimming pools worth of highly combustible propellants extremely rapidly to make something go insanely fast. Like, that's really cool. There's people who, stream, and there's people who watch train spotting streams, plane spotting streams. I'm hopeful that we'll continue to have an audience for this stuff, especially as SpaceX continues to change it up and do new and interesting things, like today, for example, landing the first stage in the Bahamas for the first time, which should be a treat.
Also, apparently we're getting word that not only is he Mr. Map, he's also Mr. Train, because he was train spotting today, Ryan Caton.
Ryan is my friend, and I knew that pretty early on. And the fact that Ryan likes plane spotting and train spotting only means that I'm getting further confirmation that Ryan is my friend. Like, we get along. It makes sense.
Yeah, these are wins. These are absolute wins.
Yeah, agree. Train good, car bad. Thank you, Alex. SW Artemis is asking, how far from land will the drone ship be, and will the landing burn be visible? Do we have the trajectory or like a map of the Bahamas or something we can bring up?
I'm pretty sure we have quite a few of them. We'll just give Jay a second to pull it up.
Jay hates me today. I'm sorry, Jay.
Backseat producing, that's all. So
There we
there you
go.
go. That is the trajectory for it there. You can kind of see in those islands, that yellow area is, their hazard area zone that they set up. If you look closely, there are two pins. There's a blue pin and a green pin. That blue pin is the location of the drone ship for this one. So that is where it is set to land, and that will be just read the instructions. And then that green dot is for the fairing recovery. So that is Bob. So that is exactly where you can expect things. And again, you can see it right by Rock Sound there.
Nice. Man, that is going to be a treat to see once this starts becoming routine and sort of predictable. I'm super excited to see what sort of content people can make out there with a booster coming back in. It's going to be so cool.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Speaking of, Greg Dietz says, shout out to my friends on Great Exuma Island. I hope they get a great show. There you go. Shout out to Greg Dietz's friends. Thanks for the support, Greg. And Matilda, thank you for the support. They say, happy birthday, Sawyer. Champagne Saturn rocket satellite cake. There you go, buddy. Seriously, happy birthday, man.
I like that. That sounds good to me.
Sounds messy.
And it makes it more fun.
That is true. Adrian in chat wants to know what train Ryan was watching. Do we have an answer from Ryan? I don't think we do. If he says so in the back channel, I'll report back, Adrian. Thank you. Cheeto hair. Man, you guys have some interesting names. Cheeto. I had to read that pause was me reading the name multiple times, making sure I wasn't about to say the wrong thing. Cheeto hair is asking, how many times has this booster flown? D, do you want to take us through a little bit of the life and times of this booster, or at least how many times it's flown?
So it's flown on a number of missions. It debuted back during Axiom 2. We also saw it fly Euclid and Axiom 3, SES-24, NG-21, and a number of Starlinks in here from starting with 611 and most recently Starlink Group 12-4.
Nice. Booster 1080-16. So today will be its 16th flight. As that number gets incremented once the booster touches down, right? I think that's how that works, right, Max?
Yeah, correct. Once it lands successfully either on the landing zone or on the drone ship, then it gets the next number down the line. In this case, it will hopefully be 17.
Excellent.
Yeah, because new boosters start with a 1, so you kind of just +1 each time.
Matt's Hawk is asking, what does the 10-12 mean? So this is Starlink 10-12. I mean, it's the orbital shell, but that's all. That's the extent of my knowledge. Who wants to expand on that?
I mean, that's pretty much the easiest way to put it. So basically, SpaceX has different shells, as they're called, where they put these Starlink satellites, because they want to have a giant crisscross pattern that covers almost, if not the entirety, of the populated globe.
Let me stop you really quick. There is frost on the booster. This is the stream where I interrupt Sawyer a lot. I'm sorry,
Second
Sawyer.
time.
But there is frost on the booster. I just wanted to point that out, which means they are loading propellant into this thing, which is excellent. But Sawyer, please continue.
I'll let that one slide because that's actually important. Anyway, yeah. So as a result, they launch them into slightly different trajectories. Some go more polar, some go more easterly, westerly, etc. So as they basically put them into different spots, they go into different shells. So this one is shell 10. and this is mission number 12. So that doesn't necessarily mean that this is the 12th in a row. It's just they give them a number at the very beginning, and if it moves, it moves. So 12 can launch before 10 or after 20. It doesn't really matter. The number in that point is kind of arbitrary. But we do know that everything that has been in group 10 goes into the 53-degree inclination, and that none of those that we see now use direct to cell. So this is just straight up V2 minis.
There you have it. I always think of orbital shells for Starlink or for constellations like this, like the cliche atom animation, where it's like the nucleus with the electrons like spinning around it. Like those are the different shells, right? Except there's a lot more of them. I don't know why. Something might be wrong with my brain, Sawyer.
I mean, there is, but you're kind of in the right path there.
Okay, yeah, something else. I mean, yeah. Let's see. B1062 is asking, does this booster have the upgraded landing legs I never got? What's the deal with the upgraded landing legs? Some legs have the ability to what, like level the booster after touchdown, and some don't on the older ones. What's going on there? I'm gonna throw that one blindly to Max. I don't even know if Max knows the answer, though I suspect he does because he's a smart guy.
Well, essentially, these newer landing legs are designed that in the event that either Falcon has a rough landing or the drone ship is caught in rough seas, the booster, if it's not strapped down to the octaweb or the octograbber, has the ability to, I guess, quote unquote, walk on the deck without being at severe risk of tipping over, like we saw with unfortunately 1058 and 1062, which we presume both did not have the legs. At least 1058 did not for sure. I don't think it was confirmed that if 62 did or did not have it. But essentially, they're more flexible and they have a bit more play in them to where the booster could, I guess, pseudo walk on the deck without being at severe risk or being stiff enough to a point where it could just topple over if a rogue wave were to come over and wash on the deck. So that, I believe, is what the new legs are for. And I believe beyond a certain number, all Falcon boosters are equipped with them as standard, although I don't know which serial number that was. I presume somewhere in the mid-sixes.
That would make sense. Keep the questions coming, y'all. We're getting some good ones today. Also Rockhounds, again, with more support, saying, happy birthday, Sawyer. 25 pun tokens. Have a great day.
Oh, thank you. I will definitely use them wisely. And yes, I will happily accept pun tokens as birthday gifts any day.
Heck yeah. Y'all are the sweetest. Also, Terra Prime becoming a Red Team member. Thank you so much. Loran is asking, what are the advantages of this new flight path for Falcon 9, and why would they only do it now? We talked about this a little bit, but this is kind of like the big ticket item for today's stream, right? Is this new landing location. I mean, I think the main thing is they don't have to sacrifice any performance with a dog leg, as we talked about earlier, right, Sawyer?
Exactly. So currently, anything that goes to the southeast goes north of the Bahamas. So you can do that, and you don't have to do that much of a kind of hook around as long as you're going into what's known as a 43-degree orbit. If you want to go a little bit more inclined by about 10 degrees, so 53, well, then you're talking a big kind of hook to go around so that you're not going directly over the islands, and that if something goes wrong, you're then raining Falcon on people. So, as a result, they have had to launch northeast for those. But now, they have an agreement with the government of the Bahamas to be able to land within the waters there. So as a result, they don't have to hook around them because they can just land in them. And so the reason that it's happening now is SpaceX realized this a couple of years ago. Of course, they had to do all of the paperwork, work everything out with the Bahamian government. They had to work everything out with the FAA, all of that. So it took a little bit of time to get that happening. And then they signed the papers, and then it was just a matter of waiting for a need to launch into this particular inclination.
So dang cool. I mean, as mature of a system as Falcon 9 is, they can still do interesting things and surprise us, which is always a treat. But yeah, why do it now? Because they had to do the work and work with the government and get all the T's crossed and I's dotted on the paperwork. So it just took time.
Yeah, as we saw for Flight 7, apparently it's a bad thing if people are picking up debris off a beach.
Generally don't want that. That's generally a bad thing. But so like my question is, what do they get? So they can launch into this inclination without having to do a dogleg. So they don't have to sacrifice performance. What are they getting in return? They're landing about the same distance away as they were before, I think. So is it just that the drone ship can be in calmer waters? Is it that they can stuff one more Starlink on there, but they're not on this mission because it's the first one?
It all has to do, again, the fact of the inclination. So basically, when we're talking inclination, if you're going directly at the equator, on the equator, you're inclined 0 degrees. If you're going to the poles, you're inclined 90 degrees, and so it kind of changes in between there. In this case, the significance is that for the 53-degree inclination, there are 2 ways you can go, northeast or southeast. When you go northeast, sure, it's totally fine, but in the winter, the waters in the Atlantic are really rough, and that could cause delays, which SpaceX doesn't like. So you go for the calmer waters in the southeast. Problem is, the performance that it would take to go all the way around the Bahamas while still being able to get into that 53 degrees is pretty much beyond what you'd be able to use Falcon 9 for without having to dispose of it. So to be able to safely reuse Falcon 9 and get that performance, you need to land within the Bahamas. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
You know what else you're here for? This question, Glenn Matthews is asking, excuse my ignorance, but can you explain what a pun token is, please? Briefly, Sawyer.
Yes. It turns out that I make a lot of puns here at NSF. And apparently, originally, people didn't like it behind the scenes. I actually got told not to do it. All of a sudden, everyone's like, where are the puns? So the puns began, and whenever I make a terrible pun, we charge a pun token. And so I've been hoarding them so that I can make the puns.
What do you?
And if I run out,
What
I
do
can't
you?
make puns.
What do you mean originally? People did. What? I don't.
There
have
was
I ever encouraged the puns, Sawyer?
You
I'm
actually
kidding.
have.
I know.
Yeah, there was literally for Starship Flight 1 in our commentator rules, there was an exact rule that said no puns.
What? I do not remember that.
Yes. It was written in there exactly.
Anyway, let's see. Keith Tegg is asking, is there a sonic boom prediction zone for the Bahamas? Do we have any sort of sonic boom info per the Bahamas? Sonic Bahamas?
So
There actually was a sonic boom advisory sent out to the residents and visitors of the Bahamas, in a particular Nassau. So there is potential. My thinking was that the first edge would be a little bit too high to be in the upper atmosphere to actually transcend the energy from the shockwave in through the atmosphere and down to the ground. But if SpaceX feels confident enough, or they have enough faith in that boom reaching the ground at some point along the many chains of islands around the Bahamas, that a full sonic boom advisory was sent out. So that is a possibility tonight.
And it is only about 17 miles from some cities for the landing. So if you're on the Space Coast and you've seen the RTLS missions, you can be quite a distance and still hear the sonic booms. So it's definitely something to listen out for if you are in that area.
Yeah, for reference, it's about 17 miles or 27 kilometers to the town of Freetown in the Bahamas.
Nice. Well, we are just a few moments away from a milestone in the fueling process of Falcon 9. In just a few moments, you will see a large cloud of condensation coming from the vehicle. Do not fret. This is normal. In fact, we expect it, and if we didn't see it, that's when you want to fret. But we call this little guy the T-minus 20-minute vent because, well, it happens at roughly like T-minus 20 seconds or so. Sawyer, what's going on with this here vent, and why do we love it so?
Yes, and there it is at T-minus 20 minutes and 20 seconds. That is an indication that the RP-1, Rocket Propellant 1 load, is complete on the second stage. So now what they're doing is they are purging and chilling down that line. So they need to get it cooler because Rocket Propellant 1 is cold in this case, but the LOX that they use is super chilled, so it's even cooler. So as a result, they're getting the lines ready to take that very cold propellant load. So this takes about 4 minutes, and we will see that plume for those next 4 minutes, and as soon as it stops, you will know that liquid oxygen load is underway on stage 2. It's also great, if you've been here before, you know where this is going, because it's a great indicator of the weather, depending on whether it's pretty stagnant, whether it's super humid, whether it's windy. So in this case, it doesn't seem that bad, and you can see there about 20 Celsius, 68 Fahrenheit, a little windy, but not terrible, and the humidity, 75%, which I guess is kind of low.
Excellent. There you go. Yeah, it's like the ultimate wind sock.
Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, for those who don't know, in terms of actual forecasted weather for this, it is 95% go per the latest weather forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron.
Excellent. All right, well, we are under 19 minutes now. You can see the vehicle has come alive and is breathing and is nice and frosty, which is exactly what we want to see. Again, this is going to be a Falcon 9 launching out of Slick 40, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, launching 23 Starlink satellites into a 53-degree inclination orbit. It's Starlink 10-12 is the mission today. We've got Dee and Max in the field, and we've got Sawyer in the studio, and of course, I'm Jack Beyer. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the headlining feature for today's launch, which I love this future we live in sometimes. The headlining feature of today's launch isn't even the launch, it's the landing. So Falcon 9 is going to land in the Bahamas for the first time. Max, this is a kind of a big deal, right?
It's a really big deal. SpaceX had this deal done, I want to say, around a year ago. But this is the first time that we are going to see this agreement put into practice with where Just Read the Instructions is currently stationed. And essentially what this flight path does is it enhances Falcon 9's capabilities of flying southeast to carry other payloads and amongst Dragon itself, too, at some point, a.k.a. from 2. To different flight paths that it otherwise couldn't. So it's a really big deal for Falcon and for SpaceX as a whole, especially flying out of here from the Cape.
It's going to be a real treat. I'm excited to see what kind of views, of course, SpaceX provides. I'm excited to see what kind of view you get, Max. This feed from you right now is spectacular. Like, I love Cars Park. Can I just go on record as saying I love Cars Park?
It is a great view, and it is also publicly accessible.
Nice.
And if you prefer, you can bring an RV. It doesn't have to be cars to the park.
I guess so. You could bring a truck or an SUV.
Yeah, even though it's cars, it's not just cars.
What about an armored personnel carrier?
If you pay the small entry fee for on launch day, probably. By the way, it's spelled Kars, like the terrible commercials that you're used to hearing. Cars for kids, but no, it's not actually named after vehicles.
There you go. Sean Brockus says, my wife thinks one of you sounds like David Schwimmer. Not clear which one of you, but she asked me to tell you. Thanks, Sean Brockus.
Here
I guess
we go
thanks,
again.
Sean's wife? I don't know. All right, 15 minutes to go. Where are we at in the timeline, Sawyer?
So at this point, we're kind of just in the middle of propellant loading. The first stage continues with RP1 and liquid oxygen. The second stage now should just be loading the liquid oxygen. As you saw, the vent stopped, which means that propellant load is underway. Next major events that you see there on your screen, they will chill down the 9 Merlin 1D engines on the first stage, and that is engine chill to prepare them for the thermal shock that they will experience. Then the metallic structure that is up against it will lean back ever so slightly. By the way, this is a beautiful look at the Bahamas there. Yes, so that structure will lean back about 1.8 degrees. That is the strong back. That'll lean out of the way a little bit and then throw all the way back once we get to launch. Otherwise, after that, it's basically loading up propellants, pressurizing the tanks, letting the onboard computers take control, and lighting the candle.
Good deal. Well, under 15 minutes to go. Marcel, thank you for the super chat there. Oh, both super chats. And they say Sawyer makes dad jokes, which are the best jokes. Please keep doing that.
Hey, I've got Jake, so that makes me a dad.
Aw. Also, speaking of of jokes from recent episodes of the Flame Trench, Lords of Random says, "Tell Sawyer I say hi to his ghost."
Oh, it's still flickering.
Let's see. So today's mission is going to be going southeast, right, D? What's going on with the trajectory?
Yes, so it is launching on a southeast trajectory, and as we mentioned, it will be landing sort of in the middle of the Bahamas, so a bit farther south and less east than the traditional southeast launches that we've seen. SpaceX made an agreement with the government down there to be able to land in the territorial waters of the Bahamas. So it is a sort of new trajectory for them to go on where Falcon 9 will sort of hug the coast of Florida on its way southeast.
Very cool. So if you are in the area and there's not a bunch of clouds, maybe go outside and take a look and see what you can see. Especially, I mean, if you're in the Bahamas and you don't go outside, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, most of Florida appears to be cloudy. Where I am, which is near the West Palm Beach area, is also very cloudy. But I did see a photo from someone who's in the Caribbean area there, and it is pretty clear.
Neat. Max, can you confirm cloudy?
Unfortunately, yes, it is quite cloudy here on the Space Coast, which is a shame because that is 2 missions in a row around twilight that we would have had some glorious jellyfish action. But for those downrange, say for those in the Bahamas perhaps, or even down the coast of Florida, I hope that your luck is better than a lot of us here because it is going to be a gorgeous one tonight.
Lee Hicks in chat says, clear from Tampa. Lee, you might get a great show. Like, you could very well be in for a treat. Speaking of, somebody talk for a second. I'm going to message my family.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so this is very exciting. Also interesting that there are other launches going on right now. There is an Electron launch happening shortly before this one, but that is not from Florida. That is from New Zealand. And then you have this flight, of course, which will be launching those 23 Starlink V2 mini satellites, none of which have the direct-to-cell capability. This one going southeasterly, as mentioned, first landing in the Bahamas. And so far, both launches are on track, surprisingly. So double candles. And again, there is the drone ship we caught for just a second there. Hanging out downrange, skies look absolutely gorgeous. Here's hoping for fantastic views. Did I stretch long enough for you, Jack?
No, you did great. Thank you. You're the best. Despite the clouds locally, this could very well be a extremely spectacular launch. Like I was saying earlier, very excited to see what kind of views we get all around, but also from SpaceX. But yeah, let's light this candle here in 10 minutes and 45 seconds, say, roughly?
If only we had a counter on the screen.
SP Rupert asking, what's the link to your website support gifting again? That's tips.nasaspaceflight.com. That goes straight to us. Thank you, SP Rupert, for even asking. Even considering. It doesn't have to be a monetary thing. If you just want to support what we do, if you can't support us monetarily, we totally don't care. Just hit the like button. Tell your friends about us. That is just as important because if our channel keeps growing, that's a good thing. So don't feel bad if you can't support us monetarily, but if you want to, directly tips.nasaspaceflight.com.
Or you can also get merch at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. There's photos, there's t-shirts, there's all sorts of awesome stuff there too.
Good point. Let's see. Sawyer, I'm going to throw this one at you. Honey Enjoyer is asking, how many Falcon 9 launches was launched in its past history? A little bit tricky there, but what's going on with Falcon 9's launch history? I guess how many launches have they done this year? Like, give us some info blurb here.
Sure. So just for reference, the space shuttle flew 135 total missions. This will be Falcon 9's 437th orbital flight. 438 if you also count in-flight abort, things like that. In terms of actual flight cadence this year, I mean, this is already their 22nd launch of the year, and this will be the 8th for the month of February.
Nice.
If you want a couple more fun numbers while we're at it, this is their.
Oh, I have the most fun number, but I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for when it's appropriate. So I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off there, Sawyer.
Oh no, I'm not going to say that number. I was going to say it's the 234th launch from this launch pad, Space Launch Complex 40 at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. I'll let you have fun with the other number. I know which one you're talking about.
All right, well, there you go. Oh, it's on screen. Dang it. I was looking at the question queue. Let's see. More questions. Please keep the questions coming. 8.5 minutes to go. SpaceCube 440 is asking, will we see the launch in Orlando? If it's clear, heck yeah. Should be a show. I think Julia is out in Orlando right now, and hopefully we'll be able to see something cool. Unless, again, clouds. Clouds are always the confounding variable. I was just back in LA, and there happened to be a jellyfish launch on the one evening that I had free. And I set up with my camera.
And how are the views?
Clouds.
Shocked, I tell you, on the West Coast. Shocked.
Jack, I've got to say, I'm really shocked.
No, I was in LA. Yeah, like, haha, clouds, Vandenberg. I get it. It's really funny. You guys are so funny and original and unique. But no, I was in LA. I was in LA and there was like I set up. There was no clouds. Clouds rolled in. It was a thing. Like I couldn't, the whole thing when clouds roll in when it's too late to adjust your position. That's no
Jack,
fun.
I've been in LA for 3 launches.
How many?
You know how many of those I saw?
Yeah.
1.
Yeah. All right. I don't want any sass mouth. Okay, well, speaking of getting set and whatnot, Dee, I think we'll let you do your necessary camera activities, shall we say. We'll let you get ready to shoot, because we are getting close to launch here. It's 7 minutes to go.
All right, that sounds good. I will see you all on the other side of this thing.
Indeed, Godspeed. Max as well, thank you again for rolling out and setting up there at Cars. We will see you on the other side, and we'll let you do your thing. Max might be busy troubleshooting right now. Well, there you go. We're going to let him do his thing. We're going to let him do his thing, Sawyer.
It's his thing. Let him do it.
Let him do it. Rockhounds, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Again, so much support coming from you on the stream. Thanks, buddy. James, this says happy birthday, Jake's dad. Thank you, James. And Carrie becoming a PadRat member. Thank you so much. Y'all, thank you so much. 6 minutes to go. You can see D there with all of their cameras. Oh, we got a wave. How delightful. Yeah, the clouds, okay, the clouds are not great. Like, I'm not sugarcoating this here. Clouds not great, but there are still the onboard views from the vehicle. There's the views from the drone ship, and you never know. Sometimes the clouds can act as sort of a filter and make the exhaust plume look extra cool. So
and sound. If it's a thick cloud layer, you'll also get the sound bouncing off of the clouds back to the ground and make it super loud.
Heck yeah. So, in just about 5.5 minutes, We are still in for quite a show. Again, this is going to be the first time Falcon 9 is going to land on a drone ship in the Bahamas. How neat is that? Like, I'm still kind of mind blown that they are able to do that. But Sawyer, you were rattling off, all the numbers a few moments ago. I guess that's kind of why they're able to do it. It's because Falcon 9 is so well proven at this point.
Exactly. Enough that after all of these launches that they've had to go around the Bahamas because of concerns that, hey, if something goes wrong, you would rain parts down on people. They've proven themselves, and they, along with the government of the Bahamas, the Bahamian people, FAA, all of that, they said, you know what? We believe this. Let's go for it. A year ago, they signed a deal so that SpaceX doesn't have to do a dogleg or a sharp turn around the Bahamas if they want to launch into this particular shell, the Shell 10, hence the 10-12, of Starlink satellites. And in addition, this will also be going to a 53-degree inclination, which previously you could only go to the northeast given Falcon 9's performance. Now you can do southeast and land in the Bahamas.
So dang cool. Somebody named ChatGPT, I swear that's what their name says, is asking, will neighboring countries be able to see the rocket? I live in the Caribbean. Caribbean? Is there a yeah, I don't know.
We're bad enough at saying Bahamian, so
I'm so bad at this. Probably, if you have clear skies, it is a twilight launch, which means it should be quite visible from quite a large area. So definitely go outside and look up.
Yep, one of our good photographer friends, Brady, is currently in Aruba, so they also have a camera set up. So if you're in anywhere in the Caribbean area, definitely go outside in the next couple of minutes here.
Absolutely. We're not expecting a feed or anything from Brady, but Brady just happens to be out there, which is really neat.
Right, and just an update on where we are. The strongback, that metallic structure there, you could see those yellow clamps, has retracted 1.8 degrees to move away from the rocket. That will throw all the way back right before liftoff. Propellant loading is wrapping up as well. They've already completed RP1, rocket propellant 1 load, into the first stage. Then the wrap-up will be liquid oxygen, and then finally stage 2 liquid oxygen.
Good deal. 3 minutes to go. Oh, I'm excited. It's not every day that we get new, Sawyer, like especially with Falcon 9 and especially with Starlink launches. So often these things can become routine. And again, like we were talking about earlier, it's still really cool because it's still a frickin' rocket going to frickin' space. But the routine can kind of creep in, even with something that's really cool. But whenever we get something new, it's always a treat.
Oh, very much. It's fun. It is one of those where you get so used to Falcon 9 that it's kind of boring. It's nice to spice it up a bit.
You know what else is... This doesn't make any sense. You know what else is spicing it up a little bit? Falcon 9 here in just a moment with another one of those, I guess that's technically the strong back venting, right, Sawyer? The T-minus 2-minute vent.
Yes, this is very similar to the T-minus 20-minute vent that we're used to seeing, except this time, instead of chilling the lines, it is purging the lines, so getting rid of any remaining oxygen that is within those lines, because if you know, oxygen and fire usually go well together, and you're going to have a lot of fire with those 9 engines going by it. So you purge it of anything remaining in there and clear out the line. And there it is.
Excellent. Exactly what we want to see here. 1 minute and 30 to go. Holy cannoli. Long this with a $250 super chat. We're in the business end of the count right now, so I just want to mention that really quickly. Thank you so much, Long this. We will hit that after the launch while we're waiting for the replays that we will surely have. But here, 1 minute and 15 to go. We are just moments away from the vehicle's onboard computers taking control. Are we not, Sawyer?
Exactly. That is Falcon 9 entering startup in 5 seconds, as you mentioned. Flight computers will take control of the count, keep an eye on all of the systems. That's also right now when the tanks are pressurizing to their flight levels.
Fantastic. Yeah, you want your tanks to be nice and pressurized at the exact right level. Think of a pressurized soda can, one that hasn't been opened, versus a soda can that is empty. One is much less structurally capable in that vertical axis. We don't want to see a Falcon 9 crumple. That would be bad. We saw it happen with Starship, what was it, SN3? Remember the crumple pop that's in the intro? That was not good.
Yeah. Wasn't there also one on SN1?
Also, yes, that was more of a pop, though, not a
Well,
crumple pop.
Anyway, let's not have that in 20 seconds from now.
Yes. So here we go. Starlink 10-12, the very first Falcon 9 to attempt a landing on a drone ship in the Bahamas. Keep your eye on the base of the vehicle. You should start to see a plume in just a moment. There you go. Ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9 Booster 1080. Let's listen in. Hopefully we get some excellent audio here, thanks to that cloud layer. Normally by now I would have said vehicle is passing through max Q, but that audio was excellent. I still am hesitant to even talk.
Oh, that crackle as it continues on. And yes, max Q is when the most pressure is pushing against the vehicle.
Yeah, think of it as the vehicle's going faster and faster, but the atmosphere is getting thinner and thinner. So at a certain point, there's a peak amount of force that it's going to be exerting on the structure of the vehicle. And as that atmosphere gets thinner, you can see the exhaust plume expanding.
And there you go. You can see right at sunset. That is the perfect condition for a jellyfish.
You can even see the engines gimbaling. Like you can see how the engines are tilted to affect the attitude and trajectory of the vehicle itself. That is so beautiful, along with the limb of the Earth there. There, you can look at that. Look at how much those engines just gimbaled. That was gorgeous.
And they're just about to shut off too in MECO, main engine cutoff.
And
next will be the stage separation.
Fantastic.
And finally, SES1, second engine start 1.
First stage is like, goodbye, second stage. I'm going to the Bahamas.
Yeah. I hope it brought its visa.
At least its passport.
Yeah.
All right, now is the time where if you are out there hopefully listening to us and not watching this, you should be looking up at a beautiful view if you're not clouded out and you're anywhere in that general region. Hopefully you're getting quite a show. Second stage continuing to pile on the velocity, as you can see on the bottom right there, while the first stage continues to actually ascend.
That was gorgeous plume interaction with the grid fins, and now the fairing halves floating away, which those are both previously flown, having flown 22 and 14 flights respectively.
Awesome. You can see a super zoom tracking shot of that fairing sep. That was really neat. Look at the way the ice... Look at the RCS on the frickin' first stage. That's the jellyfish effect, baby.
Oh, wow.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. By the way, Bob is also located downrange, also in the Bahamas, to get those fairings, which will come down on parachutes and also have thrusters to help steer them.
Sterling in chat says, great, more space junk. Sterling, everything you're seeing right now is going to fully re-enter or be reused. So, No space junk here. All that stuff on the left-hand side with the booster, that's ice. The booster's on a suborbital trajectory.
Yeah, and there are 2 second stages currently burning at this exact moment. You've got the one from Electron,
Nice.
and now you also have the Falcon 9.
Yeah, it was tricky to decide, like, how do we handle Electron? It's so close to liftoff of Falcon 9, and again, that's sort of like the business end of the count. Long this, I have not forgotten about you. We are going to thank you here in a moment, but we are still in the middle of this launch here. Booster coming up on entry burn momentarily. So gorgeous. That these views are now commonplace is just absurd.
Again, just the lighting from the setting sun with hitting the plume. This is the jellyfish, and you can kind of see why we love it, even if you can't see the ground version of it. Which, by the way, if anyone is out there and you do get a ground version of it, please send it to us on all the social media channels. We're on X, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky. Absolutely love seeing it.
I don't even know what to say. Longness just did another $250 super chat.
Holy cow.
Longness, dude, what what do you even say to that? Thank you so much. We will continue with our coverage because if you're supporting us, then that means you like what we do. And we'll thank you here in a second. But look at the
shadow in that.
Yeah, that is so pretty.
Wow. Happy to be a space dork for that.
That is just gorgeous. Second stage really moving now. First stage is descending rapidly, and here comes the entry burn. You should be able to notice a single engine start, then the other two, and then those two shut down and go back to one. So it's a 1-3-1 landing burn, right, Sawyer?
Exactly, and you can see once it goes into that line there, that's when you know that all 3 of those engines are burning, and this goes about 20 seconds or so.
So this is supersonic retro propulsion, which is one of the coolest things you can say. They are fighting fire with fire, which is super neat.
There's the plume. You can kind of see the jellyfish there.
Excellent. I love me some ground views.
That was of the first stage entry burn, it looked like, from the point of view of the Bahamas.
Nice. Look at the grid fins. You might see some plasma build up on them here. Yeah, a little bit. Grid fins are going to help the booster steer as it gets into thicker and thicker atmosphere. You're going to be able to see them articulate.
Yes, and next up will be that landing burn where it'll just be a single engine, and we'll place it down on the drone ship. Just read the instructions. Again, located in the middle of the Bahamas for the first time ever.
Sawyer, if you could ride in a Falcon 9 interstage and be completely unharmed, and like it was completely safe, would you?
Absolutely. I mean, you don't get as great a view because you're looking up instead of down, but heck yeah.
Yeah, I don't even care about the view. I would do it blindfolded. I don't care.
It looks like you can kind of see the drone ship there, the light of it through that left grid fin.
Is that what that is? That's what that looks like that is.
It appears to be.
Wow, it's coming in hot. Here comes the landing burn. Ground views?
Wow, that is a ground view of it.
Wow.
You could see the drone ship even in the view there.
That is stunning. Okay, yeah, maybe water view. Either way. What an awesome shot. And then we cut to the drone ship. Yes.
Wow.
There you have it. B1080-17. First Falcon 9 to land in the Bahamas. And I'm sure far from the last. Meanwhile, second stage, I must remind you, is doing the actual work here, not the fun part of going to the Bahamas. Second stage continuing to pile on the velocity right before Seco, which there you have it. Second engine cut off. Hooray! That is a really exceptional thing to get to see. I hope everybody in the surrounding area was able to see a spectacular show. It certainly looked amazing from everything that we could see. That was epic.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I do believe we will have some replays in the work here. I want to get Max and Dee's reaction as well. But before we do any of that, I have to, as promised, thank Long This for count them, two $250 super chats, which is, I'm at a loss for words to even express. Extremely generous. They say, when I was a kid, rocket launches were once every decade. Now they are common. Is Star Trek so far away? Hopefully not. I mean, certain aspects of it anyways. I am excited for on-orbit construction of vehicles. Once we get to the point where we can lift enough mass and we can construct a vehicle in space rather than having to abide by the constraints of an atmosphere and gravity, that's going to be a game changer. That's very Star Trek to me, and I don't think that's so far away, but maybe I'm absurdly optimistic, but either way, what I definitely am, and all of us here at NSF are super thankful along this. Thank you so much.
That was a heck of a birthday candle to get to see one going up and then see that view on it coming down, which I know some of you did not get to see that view coming down because of an ad. First off, let me apologize for that. Second, just so you're aware, before these launches, we pause ads so that they do not play during launch. They were paused at this time. They should not have played, but YouTube inserted them anyway, so apologies.
Indeed. Also, along this saying, I used to think I was a space dork. You guys are the glorious space dorks. Thank you again, man. There's really no words. Thank you. All right, well, we got some replays coming down the pipe. But I want to hear from the field. Max, do we have you back?
I sure hope so. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, buddy. 5x5. How was that launch for you? I know the cloud deck was tricky, but did you get any kind of cool views?
I mean, for the, 20, 25 seconds that we saw it, it was pretty neat. I mean, it's always neat watching a Falcon 9 fly in a low light scenario, but not total darkness, because you can still see the foreground and everything else. And the 9 Merlins were lighting up the clouds above it, which was a beautiful sight. But of course, as you all saw, we lost it in the clouds almost right away. So that was unfortunate. But we had some spectacular onboard views from both Stage 2 and Falcon 9's first stage booster, and the on-water views toward the drone ship. That was spectacular, and I really hope to see X flooded with pictures and videos of both the insane jellyfish from Stage 2 and also anything else that anyone got from the entry and or the landing burn. So that would have been gorgeous.
Yeah, once again, as Sawyer's been saying, if anybody got any cool visuals, post them on socials and tag us, because we want to see. We want to see just as much as anybody else. We're rocket nerds too, you know. Speaking of rocket nerds, D, is thou there?
I am hitting the render button on this slow-mo right now. That
Nice.
was a really nice launch, despite the limited views. There was still just a bit of sunlight in the sky, and so, like Max said, we couldn't see it for long, and so I had it up into the clouds, and then it was gone for a good long while, and then I saw towards the tail end of the first stage burn.
Interesting. Well, you know, cloud's gonna cloud. What can you do?
I'm gonna steal that. Cloud's gonna cloud.
But that sound, was it as punchy as it sounded on our speakers?
It was really, really punchy, and we're used to the VAB squeal at this point, but I think it was even more noticeable than usual today.
I so love the VAB squeal. If y'all don't know what that is, it's what is it? Is it the doors on the vehicle assembly building sort of hitting a resonance during a Falcon 9 launch from Slick 40 in particular?
It's the paneling. The panels vibrate at a certain frequency that lines up with the Merlin 1D engines. So it's typically only during a Falcon 9 launch, and usually only from Slick 40 or landing at LZ 1 and 2, just because at that point it's directly facing those panels as opposed to from 39A. So that's that kind of whining, high-pitched whining sound you hear is literally Falcon 9 shaking the panels on the VAB.
So dang cool. What else is cool is Marcel, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. Also, for the support there, they say, you guys rock. My kids are all rocket scientists. That's awesome. We need more rocket scientists. Apocalypse
Exactly.
Cow, that's Danger Moo. Thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships and for the support as well. They say, wow, your audio chops are on point. Well done. Indeed. We take video and audio seriously here. So thank you. Marcel again. Thank you for the support. They say, Sawyer, can you make a bad dad joke for me? Again, we're waiting on replays. Stand by for replays.
What if you want to just sit by for a replays? Those of you in your chair, you could sit by.
Mick and I'm just gonna ignore you, Sawyer. Mick in chat.
They asked for a dad joke. There's a dad joke.
I know, but I'm still gonna ignore you. Mick in chat says just rewind. No. That's not how that works. You can't do slow-mo when you rewind. Bideford, there you are, Bideford. I was wondering where you were. Thank you for the support. Gifting 20 Red Team memberships. That is outstanding. As well as LaserTech gifting 10. Membership program. It exists. You get all kinds of cool perks. So if you just got gifted a membership, check out the community tab on YouTube and enjoy the perks. Man, that was something. I wasn't expecting the on-water views. Did that surprise you, Max? It surprised me.
I mean, I think it was safe to assume that SpaceX was going to pull something special out of the hat for this one, being the first flight into the Bahamas for a first stage booster. But even though we thought maybe they would do something special, yeah, of course, it was super special to see. So, and being right after sunset too, having all those post sunset colors in the sky right behind the booster, perfect.
Can't complain. Certainly can't complain. I'm curious, like, how does this translate into the world of Starship? I mean, wasn't there some paperwork a little while back about, or like an Elon tweet or something about SpaceX potentially landing off the coast of Australia? I'm here for it. Yeah, Jack, that sounds really cool.
I'd love to see that. Absolutely, yes.
No, I would totally agree. Seeing landings somewhere different than the launch site is pretty cool. And I say that as someone who, I mean, I've seen so many RTLS launches, but here at the Cape, it's launch pads on one side, and then the whole other side of the station is where the landing pads are. It's only on the Best Coast where you can see basically a landing right next to a launch.
Did you really just say Best Coast is the West Coast?
You know that I say that.
Yeah, that's their new thing. I'm not a fan, especially considering what coast are you on and which coast have you seen more rockets actually launch from that weren't clouded out?
We don't need to go into the numbers here.
Oh, we do, D. We do.
All right, birthday boy. Cool your jets. Let's watch some replays.
Saved by Kevin and Jay.
Excellent. Ooh, look at the orange glow.
Something about, even though you can't really see the launch, there is something about the rocket once it goes into and through the clouds, just how it lights it up. I mean, watch. The second it goes in, and then you see the ripple of the light through clouds. Ready?
It's almost like a reverse mushroom cloud or something. Like it's just surreal. There's no good word for it. It's surreal. Like I know Max, the clouds are a bummer sometimes. I know D, the clouds are a bummer sometimes, but seeing what a rocket does lighting wise in different conditions, including when it's cloudy, is still pretty cool. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, Jack, the number of launches recently that we haven't seen due to fog or that have gone into clouds just seconds after liftoff, we've had quite a few of them recently here. So I'm hoping that we'll return to the glorious clear blue skies or bright starry nights.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, more replays.
Can't go wrong with Fleet Cam.
Is that new Fleet Cam?
I believe that's Fleet Cam 1, and then there's Fleet Cam 2. Yeah, that's Fleet 1, and then there's
Okay,
the
got it.
new Fleet Cam 2, which you could see on our Space Coast Live 24/7 feeds, and which is possible because of the support from people like you, that we can actually set up 2 different cameras at the port so we can watch the launch and all the comings and goings of SpaceX and Blue Origin at the same time.
Oh, this one should be cool. What recovery vessel is that there in the foreground on the left side?
Let me
I guess
see.
Bob is out. Would that be Shannon?
That looks like Doug if it's got the claw on the back.
Oh, it's Doug. I'm an idiot. Thank you.
Yeah, no, Shannon is the one that has the heliport on it and the giant reachy thing for Dragon, for lack of a better way to describe it.
No, that makes honestly that makes perfect
The
sense.
reachy thing.
No, it makes perfect sense. Here's another shot. Oop. Stand by. Nice. That one is exposed more for the plume.
Yep, that's our tracking camera on KSE-1.
Nice. Booster 4 says Shannon is on the West Coast. I know, they're switching Dragon Ops to the West Coast. I'm a big dumb idiot, Booster 4. But you know what I'm not? A scrapped booster.
Oh, got him.
Oh, I'm sorry, that was mean.
Ouch. This isn't the flame trench.
All right, well, Booster 108017 on Just Read the Instructions in the Bahamas for the very first time. What? Take a moment and reflect. We saw something brand new today in the rocket world. That's special. How does that make you feel, D?
You know, it's great to see. I look forward to being in the Bahamas for a landing at some point. That would be quite a spectacular view. And like I said, I've seen my fair share of RTLS launches, but something about a downrange landing on a drone ship like that is something I want to see.
Same. Absolutely same. Max, I mean, I know you want to. I think it's safe to say we all want to see more stuff like this, especially in nice places like the Bahamas.
Of course we do, and I think I almost went to Nassau for this one. To be honest, I wasn't confident enough in the weather in the Bahamas, according to some forecasts. So I opted out rather than getting egged. I guess if I got nothing. So ironically, since we saw it for only about 25 seconds here, but you know what? That's just how the ball rolls sometimes, and this will not be the last time Falcon 9 flies over the Bahamas. So there will be future opportunities.
There will indeed. You know, it's like sometimes people go to Florida, I imagine. I mean, to go to Disney World or other amusement parks and what have you, and they'll just see a rocket launch by mistake. And more places around the world where people can just accidentally sort of see a rocket launch, now in the Bahamas, or in this case, I guess, technically a landing, part of launch, whatever, you get it, is better because more people might see that and go, oh, cool, what's that? And become interested in spaceflight, which is good. Sawyer, it was a kind of a fun day. Thanks for being on the old streamy stream here for a little bit of new rocket happenings.
You kidding me? It's a very fun day. I couldn't have asked for a better birthday gift than a Falcon 9 launch, to be with the awesome people in chat and to get such kind words from all of you, which I appreciate everyone who wished me happy birthday, and to be with some of my best friends, Jack, D, Max, Jay, everyone. Love it. Thank you.
Kevin, I guess?
Yeah, he's all right. Kidding.
No, for real, happy birthday. You just orbited a star, bro.
Whoa.
You just orbited a star.
Wait, they
one
orbited a
entire
star?
time. Also, Alan C, thanks for gifting 5 Red Team memberships, and Marcel, thank you again for all the support, plus this one, saying you guys are just too funny, I've been lurking for too long. Send it. Thank you, Marcel. But yeah, Sawyer, happy birthday, bud. Seriously.
Thank you. Yep. Although I may be 31, I feel 91. It's great.
I mean, it's only it's I'm not even going to say old man things. I was going to say old man things, but I'm not going to. Also,
yeah, 'cause I'm sorry, of the two of us, who is older?
Yeah, that's why I was going to say old man things. I was going to try and impart wisdom, but nobody wants wants that.
Okay. Yeah.
D, thank you for rolling out and setting up and getting everything rolling for the stream from KSC.
Of course, every launch is a special launch, and so we got to see it. It was a gorgeous evening lighting. I'm always really glad to be out here. Of course, stay tuned for...
Oh, wait.
This
hang
just
on.
in.
We might have a special treat.
From the Caribbean.
No, you know
Or
what?
Caribbean.
We're going to... D, I'm sorry. I'm just going to completely butcher your outro. Stand by. In fact,
We're not going out yet.
let's hang out for just a couple more moments, and maybe we'll even answer a question or two.
JR trying to play us out.
I butchered it. I'm sorry, D. I ruined it. Let's see. Okay, Brady again was out in what did you say, Sawyer? Aruba?
I believe it was Aruba. Yes, Brady Keniston, for those who don't know. Awesome photographer, awesome person, and they happen to be set up out there.
All right, well, we're waiting. Momentarily, we'll have an image, I believe, from Brady, which is pretty special. Oh my God! Marcel with another $20 super. Saying, Sawyer, please make more bad dad jokes, you rock. Also, Space Pope, the one and only, with another $20 super saying, happy birthday, Sawyer, space blessings.
Oh, thank you. And if I rock, don't give me any paper.
Well, you can certainly
Paper
roll.
means rock.
No?
Yeah, you're right. I probably should have made a... I already roll, so if I rock, then get me a guitar, because I rock and roll.
There you go, Marcel. Quota filled.
There's 2 of them, and I'm sure I'm going to get messages from people watching going, come on, that was terrible, you can do better.
I'm trying to look and see if anyone's tagged us in some jellyfish shots. Chat, did any of you get to see it? Any of you get some jellyfish action? I'm quite interested to see. And I'm really interested to see Brady's shot. Because Brady is the GOAT. I believe, as the kids say these days. No cap.
Goated with the sauce?
Okay, abort. Abort joke. Abort.
No, don't say that word on an NSF stream.
No, the rocket launched. We're good. We're totally good.
Both of them. Rocket Lab and SpaceX.
John's asking, do we know if they have any plans to get a dock in the Bahamas and a ship that can bring just multiple boosters back to the Cape? This is really interesting. So, if you guys don't know, on the West Coast, the Best Coast, when a drone ship comes in with a Falcon 9, they go to the port of Long Beach, they process the Falcon 9, and then they put it on a barge along with some fairing halves and other Falcon 9s, and then they just barge it up the coast from LA to Vandenberg rather than having to put it on a semi-trailer. This is a relatively new development. They used to put them on a semi-trailer. Again, Falcon 9 famously being designed to be sort of as big as it can possibly be while still being road transportable. That doesn't mean it's easy or fun to move a Falcon 9 through the LA metro area and up the coast to Falcon 9, or up to Vandenberg easily. So, they'd put it on a barge. So that's why this question is really interesting, because who knows? Maybe they do get a dock in the Bahamas, and instead of the drone ship needing to go all the way back, to Florida, it can just go somewhere right there in the Bahamas, drop off the Falcon 9, then immediately head back out for another catch. How cool would that be?
I mean, we've shown that an aircraft carrier could carry starships, so why not carry Falcons?
Oh man, I was just looking at the JFK today. It's just sitting right there in the port. Such a bummer.
Oh, we have a picture.
Oh, that's a cool picture. That's a really cool picture. What? It looks like a frickin' comet. We're working on getting it on screen. Stand by, folks. Give Jay a moment. We're doing the jerk thing and talking about it before Jay has a second to even put it on screen. But holy cow, it's just moments away from being able to show this to you. It's pretty dang cool. Thanks, Brady, for doing that. If you guys don't know who Brady is, you might not have ever heard his name on stream because Brady kind of does his own thing and doesn't commentate on stream or anything, so you probably don't even know what it sounds like. But Brady Keniston rules. He is an amazing photographer. If you don't know who he is, I don't know what you're doing. And there's the shot. Fantastic.
Look at that.
That is so neat. I guess that would be the second stage? Hauling ass?
As absolutely stage 2, just based off the trajectory there. Don't think you can see much of the first stage, but that is the jellyfish, folks. When we talk about jellyfish, that is the epitome of it.
Yeah, Brady in our back channel says that was right near second stage cutoff. Gorgeous. Really gorgeous. Y'all, thank you again for coming out and watching the stream and hanging out with us for tonight's launch. Really, really special one. Brady getting that photo from Aruba and the booster landing in the Bahamas for the very first time. Pretty dang nifty. Again, Marcel, thank you for yet another super chat. That's so many. Thank you so much. Also, Stumpy becoming a Capcom member. Pop into the Discord and say, hey, Stumpy, thank you so much for doing that. We so appreciate it. We can't do what we do without the membership program. All right, D, I believe you were in the middle of an outro segue when I so thoughtlessly butchered it. Thank you for being on, D. And thank you for being
Of course.
you.
It's always great to be on. Stay tuned just after this for the slow-mo, but this was a great launch.
Indeed. Max, thank you as well.
Pleasure as always, everyone, and thanks for coming to hang out with us tonight. And thanks again to Brady for being out there. I know he's on vacation, but that was just, I guess, perfect timing. But thanks to Brady for being out there too. But thanks for coming to hang out, everyone, and we will see you for the next one.
Indeed. That's how you know he's a true blue rocket nerd. There's his info in the top right there. Even on vacation, we can't not. Because rockets are cool. We'd be doing it anyways. Even if there was no YouTube or NSF or anything. I think we're all kind of possessed with a love of rockets. For some reason, I mean, I can think of a couple. They're pretty dang cool. But stay tuned. If you want more rockets, you can't stay here, but you don't have to go home. You can hang out at Space Coast Live or Starbase Live or McGregor Live, our 3 24/7 live streams. You can follow us on the socials if you want even more content. Of course, the membership program provides even more content. And of course, we'll be live as soon as anything interesting happens in Starbase or another launch happens anywhere we can point a camera at it. Also, thanks to Jay operating the stream in the background, running in a giant human-sized, like, steampunk hamster wheel, making things go. Thank you, Jay. And, yeah, me. I'm Jack. There's my info. Nobody cares. I sound like David Schwimmer, apparently. I don't know if that's good. Is that good? All right, we should probably end the stream. We'll see you guys next time. Here is D's slow-mo. Also, happy birthday, Sawyer. Happy birthday, Sawyer.
Thanks, Jack.
And here we go.
We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage. Look at this! Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?